Hello there, this is Alex Mishkovich, CEO and President of Terra Balcanica Research Corp. I would like to provide you with a very brief update on our latest corporate activities and why we think Terra Balcanica is a perfect opportunity for all those interested in critical metals and energy metals. For the purpose of that, I'm going to bring up a presentation that plastically describes what is it that I'm talking about. So we are a duly listed company on the Canadian Securities Exchange and Frankfurt Stock Exchange under these stickers here. As per the regulations, I am the NI 43101 qualified person responsible for all the content, technical and scientific, you're going to see in this presentation. So why Terra and why now? Well, first of all, our news release from 2 weeks ago uh, shows critical intercept of antimony and silver-rich mineralization in eastern Bosnia. This is a project that we've had for the last 3 years. We've drilled two different targets, Trumovici and Brezheny, but this intercept, considering its width and potential length and strike, is truly a game changer. So we have exposure to a strategic critical metal in global demand. Just in the last year, there's been 500% increase in the price of antimony. We have confirmed ore in our project in Bosnia, drilled shallow, high-grade silver and antimony targets, and we also have an adjacent operating mine, which, should we find anything mineable, significantly reduces capex. This mine contains an operational crushing, milling, and flotation circuit. Our grades and volumes are significant, I would say. And the latest news release from 2 weeks ago, although predicated on only one drill hole, speaks of potentially up to 30 or even more million tons of silver antimony mineralization in our Brezheny target. Right now, we are relatively affordable, $4.5 million market cap, when compared to what some of the giants in silver and antimony space look like these days and what they look like back in 2018 when they listed. And of course, what we believe is going to change the game for us is investment into a robust marketing plan that should start by the end of this month. So let me now go briefly through all of these theses one by one to show you why Terra Volcanica is a good investment opportunity. So here's the antimony. It's used primarily in solar panels as a strategic armoring in military industry and also as an alloy to steel. Because of its scarcity, it's mostly produced by China, which contains about 45% of the world's supply, and the recent export ban, the price of it has skyrocketed in the last 12 months. Of course, given our intercepts in Bosnia, we want to take advantage of this opportunity. What is it that we have in Bosnia? Well, here's the operating mine that I mentioned, which contains that crushing and milling and flotation circuit. It has about 5 years of mine life left, which means that as they slowly deplete their resource, well, we are building ours. Two primary targets that I'm going to be talking to you about today is the one called Trumovici, which is actually a 7 kilometer long corridor of multiple different high-grade shallow silver targets that have been drilled. And of course, the Brezheny, which is what that press release from 2 weeks ago is all about. For those ones who are technically or geologically inclined, in Trumovici, we have shallow, high-grade epithermal, intermediate sulfidation epithermal, silver antimony-rich vein-hosted mineralization. And in the Brezheny, we have a multi-domain target that contains surface gold skarn upon a silver antimony mineralization underneath. Here's the Trumovici. Here's that 7 kilometer long trend. I'm showing you just a tiny little slice of it and a couple of cross sections stacked against each other, the so-called fence diagram. And you can see the body is fairly simple. It's between 5 and 10 meters wide, dips 45 degrees to the southwest, and it's fairly easy to explore. It comes to the surface. You can put your boot on the ground and see mineralization on the surface. And here are the grades. We express everything in terms of silver equivalents, but you can see the contribution of antimony in many of these holes is quite significant. So this is the Trumovici target, and as you can see, on average, we probably have at these antimony prices and gold and silver prices, we probably have on average about 1,000 grams per ton silver as the average grade. Let's move now to the secondary target called Brezheny. This is what we announced on the 20th of January. The intercept took place at about, the intercept of the mineralized body took place at about 480 meters, so significantly deeper than Trumavici. But at the same time, the width of that body is now 20 meters wide. In other words, 3 times as wide as the one in Trumavici. But however, what is the most appealing part of this target is the fact that the mineralization is actually coincidental with a conductivity anomaly that has been mapped in the subsurface using airborne geophysics. And that conductivity anomaly progresses slowly from lower left to upper right over at least 1.2 kilometers. It comes to the surface. We have confirmed that it comes to the surface, and now the point is just to drill it from top down and try to confirm that the mineralization indeed exists or persists over these 1.2 kilometers. As you can see, the grades are over 20 meters, about 450 grams per ton silver equivalent with a 0.8% antimony, or the sweet spot, the sweet part, the rich part in between 10 meters wide is about 750 grams per ton silver equivalent, including 1.42% antimony. Value proposition. I've used these two examples primarily because of the fact that when they started, they basically both had the share price around what we have right now. Adriatic Metals operates in Bosnia and Herzegovina and is a polymetallic property as well, like we are. Whereas Wisla Silver actually explores the same type of mineralization, epithermal veins, and of course also has silver and gold. Both of them were about 20 baggers since the inception until now, and market capitalizations are $850 million Canadian or $1.22 billion Canadian for Adriatic. But I guess what's most important is not so much the evolution of their share price, which I guess I'm trying to convince you is what we possibly could also have. But it's also the fact that in both cases, we have about 21 or 23 million tons of ore in the measured, indicated, and inferred categories. Average grade for Adriatic is probably around 550 grams per ton silver, and for Wisla is about, let's say, 500 or so. Given the fact that Brezheny, the slide previous to this one, that I've shown you, when you take those 1.2 kilometers and the 650 meters that we can map this subsurface body into the page and out of the page, when you multiply the width times the length times the thickness and the specific gravity, you get between 27 and 32 million tons of ore. Assuming that the grades persist, this would be almost 50% more than both Wisla or Adriatic. Of course, I mean, I have to emphasize that this is non-43-101 compliant and only predicated on one hole, but the potential is certainly there. And finally, the final slide is that even though Terra focused on marketing so far in various shapes and forms, we are now ready to make a dedicated effort to invest significant amount of budget on something called digital media lead generation. This campaign is supposed to start in late February, and it's supposed to basically bring the eyeballs on this story that, in my opinion, so far has been largely underappreciated. With that said, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me, miskovic@terrabresources.com, or you can download the full presentation corporate deck on our corporate webpage, www.terrabresources.com. Thank you so much.